What I'm going to make for you today, they're big snails, or escargot, which is basically edible snails. Put some water in there, around a cup and a half. Ginger, lemongrass, and chili. Pour that all in. Now that's smelling great already. I'm also going to add in some lemon leaf. It looks like my water's boiling. All you need to do, throw these in there and cook them for just 5 minutes with the lid on. Lid on for 5 minutes. That's for my dipping sauce. More ginger here, julienned up. Put into my mortar. Some more lemongrass and some finely sliced lemon leaf and a bit more chili. Pound that up again, a bit finer than last time. I'm going to put that into my fish sauce. Pull the toothpick in, twist the shell, and out she should come. Dip that into your sauce with your ginger, lemongrass, lemon leaf, and chili. That tastes fantastic.
Hello there and welcome to this edition of Talk Vietnam. You've just seen a short extract from Nguyen's Vietnam. It's a culinary series on Vietnamese cuisine and it's on the Australian network SBS. Now Luc is the acclaimed owner and also chef at a Sydney restaurant called the Red Lantern. He has been returning to Vietnam almost in the past few years in order to basically travel throughout the country, embark on culinary adventures throughout the southern and more recently also the northern regions of Vietnam. And along the way he has prepared dishes in locations that represent the real Vietnam in all of its chaotic vibrancy. So we're lucky enough today to have him with us. And hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us here today, Luc.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you started this series with SBS, Australian Network?
Sure. I've had Red Lantern now for almost 9-10 years, and travelling to Vietnam was just the next step after that, was to go through Vietnam and look at all the regional dishes from south to north and learn more about the cuisine. So during that time of researching, I was writing a cookbook as well, which is called The Songs of Sapa. And it's about travel stories, culinary journey through the country, and learning of street food vendors and home cooks and going to certain restaurants. And when you're traveling Vietnam as a male and you're so passionate and loving about the food, you attract a lot of attention from the locals. And the incredible stories that I attained from that, and the colours and the vibrancy of it all, which I put into the book, it just made sense I wanted to make create a show and a cooking series from these stories.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about how it started out. I mean, it has grown to be such a successful series on SBS and also amongst the Australian public. So tell us a little bit about the success of the show so far.
Well, the show was, I wanted to be about, of course, the food and the cooking, but I wanted more than that. I wanted to create a show that showed Vietnam's beautiful landscape, Vietnam's amazing culture, and its loving, hospitable people. And to capture all that, I had to make it as authentic as possible. And to do that in Vietnam, food for me in Vietnam, the exciting part of it is street food. So all of the cooking is on the street, in the markets, all outdoors. And when the Australian viewers saw this, they were just like, wow, this is just like being there, I want to go, it's so exciting. It's not just a cooking show, but everything in one show. And Australians love that, you know, and now that the show is all over the world now, and people are coming to Vietnam, it's just made this show just incredibly fantastic to do.
Now, the series on the SBS network, we mentioned that its name is Nguyen's Vietnam.
Yes.
But earlier, I heard that its name's just Luc's Vietnam. So what happened? What happened? Why did you decide to change it?
When SBS saw my title of Luc Nguyen's Vietnam, they said, oh, can we just call it Luc's Vietnam? And I said, well, why? They said, because Nguyen's too hard to pronounce. And I said, exactly my point. I want everybody around the world to be able to pronounce Nguyen, because my surname is the third largest or the third most popular surname in Australia. Yeah, so I think we need to kind of show people how to pronounce it properly. And
The third most
yes,
popular.
yeah, you know, there's Smith and there's Chan and there's Nguyen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so now in Australia and hopefully the rest of the world pretty soon, people and everyone will be able to pronounce Nguyen instead of Nguyen or Nguyen.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut this block of tofu here. This has been pressed for 15 minutes, nice and silky, a little bit firm. Cut this into 4 cubes of around 5 centimeters, maybe 2 centimeters high, and I'm going to slice them across, just so it's easy to work with. Now, put a crisscross in the middle from corner to corner. I'm going to mix a little lemongrass in there, into a bowl, sliced up chili, and a bit of salt, around a teaspoon of salt. And you mix it all up, stuff it in there. Be very delicate with your hands because it is silken tofu. You don't want to break it. Gently put the tofu into the wok. Now don't cook this for too long, just around 2 minutes. Just slowly check it. Yep, almost there. That is so fantastic. It's perfect. And there's my crisp silken tofu fried with lemongrass and chili. Đậu hũ, chiên, xả ớt.
During this first season, from Phu Quoc Island up to Hoi An,
Yes.
is that right? What were some of the unforgettable memories? I mean, obviously, you traveled so much.
Wow, I guess the main highlight for me was being able to spend so much time with my family, who I haven't been able to spend a lot of time with, and learn all their secret family recipes. You know, like I have a grandmother in District 1, I have some cousins and siblings up in Phan Thiet. And then when I went up to Nguyen, I met this, this wonderful lady who has a school for disabled children, teaching them art, embroidery. And I went there and I thought, well, I'm so fortunate in Australia, how can I do something for these kids? And the only thing that I know is cooking. So I taught these young adults how to cook and how to prep certain things, and you know, a lot of them have hearing impairments and sight impairments, so we couldn't really talk as such. But the beautiful thing was we were able to communicate through the magic of food.
Yes.
And for me, that was such an special moment. And the whole crew were there, who mostly Australian. They could not speak Vietnamese, and the Vietnamese couldn't speak English. So there was no communicating in you know, in voice tone. But we all sat around the table and we spoke through the language of food, which was wonderful.
Food, a global language.
Food is a global language. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. In an interview, we have kind of a short quote from you here, an interview on Tuổi Trẻ Online in March 2009. You said that the biggest goal in your life is to prove to the world that Vietnamese cuisine is definitely the best.
Yes, I'm almost there, I think. You know, Vietnamese food, I mean, Vietnam, we were, you know, we'd had 1,000 years of Chinese rule. We've been colonized by the French for almost 100 years. We're surrounded by such fantastic culinary countries, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia. We've had Indian influence, we've had Japanese influence. So, and Vietnam has created this cuisine that's just so intricate and so delicate and evolved that people don't realize, you know. And in Australia, Vietnamese cuisine is slowly getting really, really up there in all the best foods in the world. And Vietnamese food, telling people that it's, and showing people that it's fresh. A lot of herbs and vegetables that are used, yeah. Everything's rolled in lots of beautiful green colors. And a lot of things we eat is medicinal, so it's good for you, yeah. And the flavors are so subtle and so elegant and well balanced, and people around the world are really getting to realize that Vietnamese food is delicious and very good for you as well.
Right, and thanks to such programs as yours, it's becoming more of a reality.
Yes, and Vietnamese food is just not a quick, cheap meal. You know, we use fantastic fresh produce, the best produce that we can get. You know, think of your mother and your grandmother going to the markets. It's
Exactly.
about finding the perfect vegetable or the perfect cut of meat or the perfect bunch of herbs for a dish. So it's such a wonderful cuisine. And
Now we talked about your series, your season 1 in the South. Now going to your season 2, which aired in early December, just aired.
yes, just aired in Australia. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That was from
Hue,
upward to
all the way up
Sapa,
to Sapa.
which is in the north, northernmost tip point. Tell us about this trip. What were some of the memories that stick to mind?
It was a lot different for me personally because I don't have any family members up there at all. So it was like such a learning experience and discovery for me. And it was quite unique. And I think the most amazing parts of traveling to places like Mai Chau, Sapa and Bakar is like you've got all these, you know, the wonderful minority groups there, the ethnic minority groups, and they live on the land, they live off the land. So their ways of cooking was so simple, primitive, but so fantastic, you know. I would say, what's your most prized dish in the family? And he'll go, come on, so we'll chop down some bamboo from the yard. We'll go catch our fish from the local pond. We'll grab some lemongrass from the garden, some ginger and turmeric, and we'll grind it up, pluck a little coconut from the tree, we'll marinate it, stuff it into the bamboo and just put it on the fire. Now for me, that way of cooking is so beautiful. You know,
Everything from the garden.
and everything is from 5 or 10 meters away. And these villages don't have much, but they live off their land, you know. But the thing is, they don't need much at all. You know? Where I was brought up in Australia, we have so much, but we still find things to complain about. But these people live a simple, beautiful life, and they're so happy. And when they smile, it's such a wonderful, real, happy, genuine, you know, happiness.
Which particular location was that?
Mai Chau was one,
Mai Chau,
and up in the villages of Sapa as well, which is very special. So
and the landscape there, it's gorgeous, right?
Absolutely gorgeous. And you know, for me to learn more about the ethnic minority cultures, wonderful, very, very special.
Compared to the cuisine of the South, how would you say it's different or similar?
I think it's quite different. I think the South, like they have a sweeter tooth. So a lot of the dishes have a bit more sugar, as in and of course where the South is situated next to Cambodia and you know there's kind of a lot of more powerful flavors, I should say, or ingredients. Whereas up north, the dishes are a bit softer in flavor, subtle, but not bland, right? It's subtle, but it's elegant. It's so soft, and you kind of your palate changes. It's like drinking different red wines. You know, if you drink a wine from Australia, it's big and it's bold.
Right.
It's got so much on the palate. That's like Saigon, Southern cuisine. And then you go up north, it's like drinking a light Beaujolais from France.
Right.
You know,
Very subtle.
very subtle, and you're tasting the different soft flavors, and that's the difference, I think. It's but I love both cuisines, and Central cuisine's fantastic as well. In
your series, you sort of demystified a vast number of Vietnamese herbs. Can you talk a little bit about Vietnamese herbs? I mean, there are so many types, and it seems like a fascinating subject. Yes, absolutely, and I think Vietnamese herbs is the essential ingredients that make Vietnamese cuisine what it is. You know, each dish has a different herb that goes with it. You know, and I do a lot of classes in Australia, in Sydney, showing Australians what these different herbs are. My favourites being ngò you know, ngò gai. One that is quite of an acquired taste is yap cá, you know, the fish mince. Yeah. So all these dishes, and rau dung, and so coming to Vietnam and seeing all the vast variety of herbs, I'm in heaven. You know, there's so many, and we don't have that luxury of having all these herbs in Australia. So for me, discovering the different flavours and what
what for these herbs go with what dishes, and also learning about its medicinal qualities. And my favourite mints would have to be rau tito and rau quế, and lovely rau cần nước, and yeah, all these are fantastic.
They give a very different taste to each dish.
Yes, yeah, and that's the essential ingredients, I think, for Vietnamese cuisine.
Yeah. You also mentioned in this interview that we said earlier that Vietnam is something that is very close. It's always in your heart.
Yes.
For you, being able to come back to your country of heritage and doing such a program, what does it mean for you?
For me, it's actually quite an emotional experience. I grew most of my life, I grew up in Sydney, Australia, in a suburb called Cabramatta, which is like little Vietnam. You know, it's got all the restaurants there, all the produce stores, the similar foods. So coming to Vietnam for the first time when I was like 19, I had this immediate connection with the country. You know, I felt like, wow, you know, I have never lived here. I wasn't born here, but I feel like this is kind of where I belong. And so everything was familiar to me. And for me to spend more time here and learn more about the food and more about my culture as well is something I really want to continue doing. Yeah.
And talking about your roots in Vietnam, we'll take a look at a short clip. We'll take a look at how Luc has come back to the country this time. Every time he comes back, he visits his grandma's home here in District 1 in Ho Chi Minh City. So we'll take a look at some footages of that visit.
Because I was not born here, growing up in Australia, I miss having that connection of having the extended family. I never had that love of grandparents or great-grandparents. So coming here and spending time with her, it's a different kind of love. It stirs different types of emotion. So it's something, when I come back, it's something I never had as a child. So when I come here, I feel like a child again. Bà nội con cứ nấu cháo cho bà nội nè. Khi nào bà nội thức dậy ăn cháo nha. Con bóp chân trước nha. Bà nội đang bệnh. I love coming back to my parents and my grandmother's area here because it shows me the real Vietnam. In the center of Vietnam, it's modern, it's contemporary, it's new, but coming here and looking at how people live in this neighborhood, in this community, it just evokes so much emotion because it's where my family was brought up. So I just adore coming here every time I return to Vietnam, and it feels like home.
Mấy món này là chả cá chiên.
Chả cá chiên. Wow, mấy chục món nữa.
Có mười mấy món à, đó trên đó.
Dạ.
Sáng sớm hả? 5 giờ.
5 giờ.
5 giờ.
Mười mấy món rồi mấy giờ bán? Khoảng
11 giờ. Măng đó, cá đó còn măng.
Cá kho măng. Sườn răm mặn. Cá kho.
Cá kèo.
Cá kèo.
Cá đói.
Wow.
Cá hú.
Thấy ngon quá. Cần em phụ không?
Hả?
Cần em phụ nấu ăn không?
Không có tiền. Trả được không?
Phải trả đâu. That kind of cooking is the most exciting way of cooking for me. And I really love when I come back to Vietnam and see that. It's like, wow, you know, it's on the street. It's as soon as I walk out of the door, there's food. There's almost 20 dishes there. One person. And that for me is like, wow, you know. In where I come from in Australia, where the way I was trained and brought up in kitchens, there's 7 people on a table and professional benches, but we don't need that. We don't need it here. It's all done on the street in a small lane. It's all hand cut, marinated, done. One person, and it's the most beautiful food you can ever eat. And so watching that, and then when she's serving it, sit down, have a big plate, and it's 15,000 dong, you know, not even $1. And that is the magic of Vietnam for me.
So you just mentioned earlier that you came back to Vietnam the first time when you were 19 years
Yep.
old. What drew you back in the first place?
Yes, so what happened was when I was 10 years old, I always knew that I wanted to open a restaurant. It was always in me. I always knew that. It might be in my blood, you know, the restaurant industry, the food industry. So growing up and finishing school when I was 18, I realized that if you want to open a business, you need to be pretty much dedicated to it full time. It's like marrying a business. So for me, I needed to travel, get that out of my system, and then dedicate myself to what I really want to do. And one of those destinations had to be Vietnam, because I wanted to open a Vietnamese restaurant, and I can't do that without coming to Vietnam.
Exactly.
And meeting my family for the first time was such an emotional experience, and traveling to different parts to get different knowledges about the regional cuisine. And that was my main motivation to come back here. And I spent so much time here because I loved it so much. And I got all these ideas and motivations and went back to Australia and opened Red Lantern. And that was a very special day for me.
Yeah, it must have been a very even a big shocker the first visit. What was it like? What impressed you the most about the country?
What impressed me the most about Vietnam was its energy. You know, everyone's so everything's happening on the street. It never stops. You know, and I think the most amazing thing that got me was everyday life is surrounded by food. You know, you arrive and someone says, "What would you like to eat? Have you eaten yet?" You know, and then so you sit down and eat, and while you're eating your breakfast, what are we going to eat for lunch? You know, and then when we're eating for lunch, what are we going to eat for dinner? But I was asking these questions as well, you know, and everything's surrounded by food, and I just adore how every Vietnamese person is so passionate about food, and they know their food, and as soon as you talk about food, it's, you know, to a complete stranger, you talk about food, and then you're invited into their homes, and you become family and friends. And for me, that whole food culture is something that we don't really experience in Australia, and that food culture is what I'm connected to. So coming to Vietnam is like, wow, have I arrived home? Have I? You know, so yeah, that's what I loved about Vietnam, and the landscape and the whole way of making things from scratch. How we make rice paper from grinding and soaking the rice and steaming it. You know, how we make bún, you know, vermicelli noodles. No one does that in Australia. You know, it's all bought and purchased from the supermarket, and
packaged and frozen.
Yeah, and then driving down through the rice paddies and seeing how much hard work goes into cultivating rice, and how much time and energy, and it makes you appreciate what you have. So it makes you not want to waste food, you know, because you look at how much work goes into it.
How about in the near future, in terms of what you would envision, basically if I may ask, your life partner to be like? Would she have to be a good cook as well?
Absolutely, and she is, luckily.
Oh, great.
My partner Susanna's Australian. She grew up in a very small country town, and I remember meeting her for the first time and introducing her to canh chua. Right, canh chua cá.
Yes.
And so for her, I remember her reaction was, and canh chua cá is, if people don't know it, there is a tamarind broth with okra and elephant's ear stem and pineapple and fish or prawns. And so that dish itself is, I always introduce people to that dish for the first time because it's Vietnamese. You know, it's got the balance of flavour. The broth has tamarind, so it's a bit sour. It's got the pineapple, it's a bit sweet. It's got fish sauce, it's a bit salty. It's clean, and it's very textural and colourful.
She fell in love with it.
She fell in love, and so now that actual dish is a regular placement in their Christmas family dinner.
Oh,
is
wow.
canh chua. Yeah, it's great.
Canh chua and Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Luckily,
so cooking is a big part of...
a big part of your future plans,
absolutely.
your future family.
In Australia, Nguyen is known as the chef and owner of the award-winning Vietnamese restaurant, The Red Lantern, in Sydney. He's also the author of the best-selling books, Secrets of Red Lantern and The Songs of Sapa. In 2009, Nguyen and his partner Susanna Boyd founded the Little Lantern Foundation in Hội An, which gives disadvantaged youths an opportunity to participate in a hospitality training program in Little Lantern's operating hotel, restaurant and bar. As the host of Luke Nguyen's Vietnams on Australian SBS television network, Luke travels Vietnam, exploring the cultures and culinary delights of the country from Ho Chi Minh City in the south to the northern city of Sapa.
So now, in terms of your work, what do you find more challenging, being a chef or being a TV host?
Definitely a TV host. Yeah. Because I've just completed the second series, so I'm fairly new to the industry, and it's my own production company as well. So it's a whole new industry for me. So learning how to organise that, but in terms of cooking on the street through Vietnam, it's so much fun, but extremely challenging. Yeah. So I mean that pitch in particular is right in the centre of Ben Thanh markets in Ho Chi Minh City, and you're surrounded by people. There's so much happening, and all the locals are telling you what you're doing wrong and how you do it. And it's exciting, but it's like, oh my God, it's so overwhelming. So for me, it's such a huge challenge, and I look forward to each challenge every time.
It seems that your family has been a big part in nurturing your love for cuisine. Was it something that ran in the family, or how did you start to get into cooking in the first place?
Yeah, well, my mother and father had a Vietnamese restaurant when we were very young. So we've always been surrounded with food, good food, and the restaurant industry. So as soon as I could walk, I was working, and before school we would work in the restaurant. After school we would work in the restaurant. It was work, a lot of work, but luckily I enjoyed working in this field. So when I finished school, it just made sense for me to keep going along that career and follow my passion. And that's what it is. Exactly. And I feel so fortunate that I'm able to do that.
In terms of being a chef, what do you find most interesting about being a famous chef, and what are some of the challenging parts as well?
I think the most interesting thing about being a chef is you never stop learning. I can never say, yep, I know everything about Vietnamese cuisine. That would never happen for me. So for me, it's so motivating, because everywhere I travel, I learn something new. And be it in a busy, bustling city, like Ho Chi Minh or Hanoi, I'm learning something all the time. But going to the small villages as well, you're learning so much, in old cooking techniques and cooking methods. So being a chef for me is great because I don't stop learning. And the most challenging thing is it's hard work. Running a restaurant and being a chef, you're on your feet for 14, 15-hour days. When you're working, people are out playing. Your weekends are working, your busy periods are working. So that's the biggest challenge for anyone in the industry. So if you don't have passion for cooking and the restaurant trade, you become burnt out. Exactly. Yeah, that passion drives you. And if you don't enjoy those long hours or cooking, you should really change industry. So that's the hardest thing about being a chef is the work involved. And any cook or chef will tell you that.
Right. Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about your restaurant, Red Lantern. What is it like? I've heard that it's won quite a number of awards.
Yes, it's won Best Vietnamese Restaurant in Sydney for the last 6 years.
Awesome. And has it been around for 9 years?
It's been around for 9 years, almost 10 now. And it's in a converted terrace house, so it's a heritage building, but it's a home, There's a little space where it used to be a living room and a dining room and a small kitchen. We only seat 50 people. So it's not a big 300-seater. It's very intimate, it's warm, it's got character. It's like my home. So when you come in, you instantly feel, wow, you feel relaxed, and the service is very family-orientated. We really care, and you can really see, and the ambience in there is very warm, because we love showing you our cuisine, and it's a dining experience. Yeah, so you would sit there for hours with matching wines from all over Australia, and education on the culture of where that dish came from. Right. So it's a very unique dining experience.
Tell us about some of your customers. Who are they, and what are their kind of reception towards your food?
Our customers are big foodies. They understand that we need to eat well. They understand that they understand organic produce, sustainable produce. A lot of our guests are very local around the area, so every time they come in, it's like inviting a family member and a close friend back in. And they want to try different cuisines, you know, they want to travel through the menu. And we can offer that. And so, and we always offer them different dishes as well, so they can have different dishes from different regions of Vietnam, and they're so excited about what we serve. It's great.
The Songs of Sapa is a vibrant, visually essay of Luke's journey, the stories and recipes from each region, with stunning photographs bursting with color and texture, capturing the beauty of Vietnam for people and their deep connection to food. Starting in the northwest of Vietnam, in the villages and hills around Sapa, Luke explores the roots of traditional cooking. Moving south, he travels to the capital, Hanoi, renowned for its French-Vietnamese cuisine. He explores the imperial cooking of Nguyen, discovers the famed cao lầu noodles in Hội An, and tastes a host of simple seafood dishes in coastal Nha Trang and Nguyen. His journey culminating in Ho Chi Minh City, where he is reunited with his family. The book has won various awards, including the 2010 Australian Publishers Awards for the Best Book Design and the Australian Food Media Awards 2010 for the Best Cookery Book by a Chef or Restaurant.
Why did you name it The Songs of Sapa?
The book has... I started my journey in Sapa, and I love that area, and I wanted to give it a title that meant something to me. And I was in the Sapa markets, and I wanted it to be, anytime I'm in an area, yes, you can visualize certain things, or you can smell, and you can touch, but I love to listen to things as well. So I sat in this bustling market, I closed my eyes, and I smelled all the aromas, and I just listened to all the beautiful sounds that this Sapa market was making, from steaming the rice noodle to chopping through the whole fish onto the chopping board, to the wok tossing all the dishes and the vegetables, from the gas hissing, you know, out, and the ice clanking, breaking the ice. So all these sounds.
A market orchestra.
Yes, it was an orchestra, and it was a song, and it was the Songs of Sapa. And when I opened my eyes, I was like, oh, wow, that was incredible. And so I just quickly wrote that down, because I just loved that experience of listening to the Songs of Sapa. And it was such a memorable moment, and it was just a perfect title for the book.
Exactly. In terms of in Australia, have you been able to travel throughout Australia? What do you think of the kind of the general reception of the Australian public towards Vietnamese cuisine?
10 years ago, it was very different to now. Yeah, when we first opened Red Lantern, it was very difficult to get people to eat goat meat. You know, it was very difficult for people to appreciate a whole fish, you know, with the tail and the head, because in Western,
they're not used to it.
No, in Western cuisine, they'll fillet and no bones and no head. And those kind of things, it's about saying, no, we use your hands to roll, you know. That is the best way of eating, is using your hands to feel the textures and everything else. So for us at the beginning, it was like, oh, no, can you top that head of that fish off and da-da-da. It's like, no, this is Vietnamese cuisine. This is how we do it. This is not only a dining experience, but it's a cultural experience as well.
It's a very exploratory experience for them.
But now, people are more aware of how you eat Asian cuisine or Vietnamese cuisine. Now there's no issues anymore. I don't ever get anyone come in and say, I can't, is that goat meat, you know, that kind of thing. So it's about them trying it out and learning and being aware, oh wow, this is how we do it in Vietnam. And so now today, traveling through Australia, I do that a lot as well. I get invited to international food festivals that's held in Sydney or Melbourne and Brisbane, where chefs from all over the world are invited, from France or from Italy or Lebanon, and I'm the Vietnamese guy that comes in and showcasing Vietnamese cuisine. So the more I do that, the more people are aware of how fantastic Vietnamese food is, and I love doing that because the most satisfaction I get is seeing someone try Vietnamese food for the first time and them going, wow, you know, there's a party going in there, you know, all the different flavors on my palate, and that's why I love doing what I do, is seeing that reaction on someone's face of going, oh, I've never tasted anything like this.
In terms of the Vietnamese dishes, so canh chua cá is one that you are particularly fond of, that you would introduce to someone who is new, who doesn't know anything about Vietnamese cuisine. What other dishes? I mean, say I'm a foreigner and I know nothing about Vietnamese cuisine. It's my first time to Vietnam. What would I eat?
I think the other dish that everyone has to try as well is pho, of course. Yeah, and I think that broth in particular is such a long process, and it shows our complete dedication to food. You know, the broth is cooked with the bones and the marrow and the brisket.
Such intricate work.
Yeah, and all the different spices involved, you know. It can range from 5 spices to 14 spices, and it's cooked from 8 hours until, you know, 18 hours or 24 hours if you want. And the end result is this gorgeous broth with so much happening, so much character, with you know, the slippery white noodles and lots of fresh herbs. And that dish is it's Vietnamese culture, breakfast, lunch or dinner, you know, it's fantastic, and definitely all the fresh rolls that we do. Anything Nguyen is such a great dish to show people, because all the vibrant herbs and vegetables and
it's very customized as well. You can put in whatever you want.
And you can eat as much as you want and you still feel nice, light and healthy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you go to introduce Vietnamese food, obviously the best way to show someone is to let them taste it.
Yeah.
But how would you describe Vietnamese food to them? What are the distinctive features?
Distinctive features would have to be, I would say, Vietnamese food is fresh. It's colourful, you know, it's vibrant. It's really healthy, because we really think about why we're eating a dish. It doesn't only just taste good, but it's good for what? You know, it's good for your digestive system, it's good for your complexion, or it's good, you know, it's good for your balancing of the hot and cold and the yin and yang, which my mother always taught me as a child. Don't eat too much of that, it's hot.
It's hot.
And you're like, what do you mean it's hot? It's cold, you know. But you know, the whole learning of you know, the cooling and the warming inside the body is very important, and you need to listen to your body. So in terms of that, I explain that whole philosophy of food to people who haven't tried it for the first time, and showing them different herbs, why we eat things, and they, wow, you know, they taste it, and understand the balance of flavour, I think, of having those 5 elements, if it's bitter or salt or spicy or sweet, having that all on the same level is very important, and that's Vietnamese food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here at this temple to make you a very easy lotus leaf dish. I'm just going to saute and stir fry these vegetables very, very quickly. Start with my lotus seeds, carrots, fried tofu, green peas, and shiitake mushrooms. Still want them to be nice and crisp, so just a quick stir fry. I refrigerate my rice for around 24 hours just to make it nice, dry, and you can cook it easier. 2 of these in there, toss it around nice and evenly. A bit of soy for colour. There you go. Not too much. Let's throw that back in. Toss that all together. And I'm going to steam this in this gorgeous lotus leaf. So you transfer the rice into your bowl of lotus leaf, and we're going to fold this 6 times. 5 and 6. And I'm going to steam it for 5 minutes. Carefully onto the plate. Look at that. Oh, remembering not to cut the other leaf, the underleaf. And you'll find that it's starting to look like a lotus leaf now. It's forming. And there you you have it, vegetarian rice steamed in lotus leaf. Cơm chai gói lá sen.
So it seems that each time you come back to Vietnam, it's like you're really immersing yourself into a culture of food that basically connects you with other people, and basically connects you with also with the origins of the food, which makes the food much better.
Absolutely, and what it also does as well, it kind of shows me how lucky, you know, I've had it in Australia, and so every time I come back, I try to do something to improve things in Vietnam. And so, you know, if it's I've recently set up a foundation called the Little Lantern Foundation, and basically we raise money in Australia to implement training in Vietnam for disadvantaged youths. So I'm working with a group at the moment in central Vietnam called REACH, and it's a vocational school for these children, these kids from 16.
For hospitality training,
Hospitality,
right?
yes. So there's front of house, so F&B training. There's hotel operations.
Right.
We're going to implement commercial cookery as well. English and skills training. So for me, that's my biggest passion at the moment, is to spend more time in Vietnam and work with REACH to do this for the kids who need it here. Yeah,
Great,
which
exactly.
is really important for me.
It's great. You're not
Yeah.
only coming to learn about the culture, the food, and bringing it to the international public,
Yeah.
but also coming back here and giving back as well.
Yes, and that's really important. And you know, Vietnam tourism is a huge industry. People love coming here, so we need to be able to give some great service in Vietnam. You know, great, fantastic hotels and restaurants. Let's give them something to remember. You know, so we're working towards that in the next year or so, and making that program progress further.
Do you plan to kind of open up or spread that model out to other regions of Vietnam?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, why I'm working with this great organisation called REACH. It's a local organisation, and they graduate 1,000 kids a year, and they put them through this training program, and every 80% of these kids that finish this program gets a job in a restaurant or hotel.
Wow.
It's fantastic, and
Great
they teach.
model.
It's a great model, and they there's graphic design. You know, there's English, there's skills, vocational training, and for me, I want to help progress that program and bring trainers from Australia, and teach cooking and hygiene, and that would in turn give our Vietnam tourism industry a great boost of service. And so this program we want to implement soon in Ho Chi Minh City by 2011. It's already in Da Nang, it's already in Hue and Hanoi, and we're just going to keep growing, and 1,000 kids, students a year getting great jobs. It's fantastic.
It's a great goal.
Yes.
Now tell us a little bit about your future plans. What's next after this season?
After this season, I'm going to be spending a lot of time in central Vietnam working with REACH, and also building an education centre in central Vietnam about conservation and environmental issues, and also protection of our great wild animals that Vietnam has. So I plan to set up an eco-lodge in the Da Nang area, where we'll use all solar power, so conserve energy. And this is all the things I've learnt from Australia, you know, to appreciate these things. Use all sustainable produce, organic, recycled materials, and just create awareness in Vietnam about the environment and how we can build this country to make it so much greener. And if we do that and think of the future, more people would enjoy Vietnam and more people will come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
On behalf of Talk Vietnam, we wish you all the best of luck in your future endeavors. We hope that
Thank
you'll
you.
continue your passion and continue to bring Vietnamese cuisine to the world. So bringing more ideas to Vietnam as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. We just talked with Nguyen and learned more about his culinary adventures in Vietnam, his embarkment on different journeys to explore more about Vietnam and also to introduce Vietnam to the world. Thank you very much. This is Talk Vietnam. We'll talk more next time.